When people are planning a trip to Walt Disney World, a common question is it worth it to stay on property? And the answer to that is a lot more complicated than just yes or no. So let's talk about the perks of staying on property, who can benefit from staying on property, and whether or not that's the right decision for your family. I always get asked if it's worth it to stay on property at Walt Disney World. As a lot of Disney fans know, things have changed over the years, and some of the benefits that we once had are no longer there. So let's talk about what the perks of staying on property are at Walt Disney World and if it's something that actually makes sense for you. The answer will vary based on what your plans are, how you want to travel, who you're traveling with, how big your party is, but hopefully these basics can help you figure out if staying on property is going to be the best value for your family and if it's something that will be worth it for your trip. Let me just start this video by saying that staying on property is not going to be right for every single family. For some families, when budget is a little bit more of a concern, maybe looking at a good neighbor hotel off property or even places like Airbnb might be a better choice. If you're doing a split stay between Walt Disney World and Universal, but don't want to be moving hotels halfway through your trip again, staying on property at Walt Disney World might not be the best choice. But if you're just going to Walt Disney World and are looking for the best perks and the best deals, let's take a look at what Disney World has to offer so you can decide for yourself. Now, a reason that I think this is really important to talk about at this point in time is because Disney has been rolling out some really good deals, especially for the summer. Their 2 free nights promo just ended, and those have been some of the best prices that we have been seeing in years. We have been traveling to Walt Disney World for over a decade at this point. The prices that they offered with that promo were really a blast from the past. I am a travel agent and I book a lot of families at Walt Disney World, so whether or not staying on property is worth it is a conversation that I frequently have. So let's talk about the benefits, and I'll tell you my opinion on each one if I think that's worth it, and you can decide for yourself. Let's start with staying in the Disney bubble. Now, this is one of the biggest reasons that people want to stay on property is because they want to stay in the Disney bubble. For some people, they just want to get to Disney and stay in Disney. They want to be surrounded by the magic, by the cast members. They don't want to leave what we call the Disney bubble. They don't want to have to worry about anything. They just want to go to Disney, have everything be easy breezy, and Disney does a great job of that. Now, whether or not it is worth it to stay in the Disney bubble specifically for that reason is something that you have to decide, because it does come with a little bit of extra cost and you are paying for that extra convenience. All right, let's talk about some of the more concrete benefits of staying at Walt Disney World. One of the biggest perks of staying on property, in my opinion, is having an earlier booking window than those who are not staying on property for your dining reservations. If you're staying at a Walt Disney World Resort hotel, you can book your dining reservations starting at 60 days before your trip begins, up to 10 days out. So if you have a 7-day trip, you can book all of your dining at once 60 days before the start of your trip. This gives you a really big advantage for harder to get reservations, because if you plan your hardest reservation at the end of the trip and you have a longer trip, you're going to have a one-up on everyone else who has to wait a little bit longer for their dining window to open. This gives you an advantage over people who are staying off property. This gives you an advantage over people who are traveling locally. Maybe if they live in Orlando, maybe if they live in the area, they're not going to have that same benefit unless they're staying on property. I do want to say that dining reservations are not as cutthroat as they used to be. They are seeming to be a little bit easier to get, and we always see a ton of cancellations open up before your trip starts. But if you really want the best chance of getting all of your dining reservations, if you know that's going to be an important part of your trip, then I do think that makes it worth it to stay on property at Walt Disney World. In addition to that, you do have to get up at 6 a.m. 60 days before the start of your trip if you want to book dining. Now, if you're staying off property, you have to get up 60 days before each day that you want to dine. So if you have 5 days of dining reservations that you want to get, you'll have to get up 60 days before each of those days. If you're staying on property, you can make all of those reservations on the same day, as long as your trip is not over 10 days. Along those same lines, you're going to have that same booking window for Enchanted Extras. Now, Enchanted Extras open up at midnight 60 days before. This is a common mistake people make. It doesn't open up at 6 a.m. It opens up at midnight. And sometimes it actually doesn't open up at midnight. Sometimes it opens up in the middle of the night. But regardless, you will have first dibs on things like the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, fireworks dessert parties, the cruise fireworks parties, special tours, things like that. And again, I feel like these are not as cutthroat as they used to be, but I do this all the time for my job, and I can tell you there are definitely time periods where Disney is busier, and it is really hard to get some of these reservations. Sometimes Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is just not available. So if you can have a little bit of an edge on getting that reservation, I do think that makes it worth it if that's a priority for your trip. Now, if you're not really planning on doing table service meals and you're not really planning on doing enchanted extras, neither of these benefits really matter. These perks aren't really going to be helpful to some people that like to go and just enjoy quick service or make reservations the day of. But if you have a wish list of restaurants and or enchanted extras that's long, it is really beneficial to have that window. And along the same lines of booking things, you do get to book your lightning lanes 7 days from the start of your trip if you're staying on property. I can tell you right now, this is huge. People don't talk enough about what a big perk this is because I don't think enough people see the difference between having the 7-day window and the 3-day window. So again, just like dining, if you're staying on property, it opens up 7 days before your entire trip. If you are staying off property, you do have to get up every day and make those reservations at 7 o'clock in the morning, 3 days before you want to go. To me, the lightning lane window is actually more crucial than the dining window because we don't see as many things open up once you've made your selections. And again, this is something that I do for my clients all the time. I am constantly booking lightning lanes at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I can honestly say those that have a little bit of a longer trip and those that are staying on property have so many more opportunities to get better lightning lane times. And if you understand how lightning lane works, the goal is to be able to get as many as you want. For most people. So being able to find earlier start times means that you're going to have probably better luck in the parks getting more lightning lanes added as the day goes on. In addition to that, the really hard to get lightning lanes are going to be very slim pickings by the time your 3-day window opens up if you're not on property. I see this all the time with things like Peter Pan, Jungle Cruise, Tiana's. Some of those first tier rides are just really only available later in the day if you're not able to utilize a 7-day window. This is going to help you get the earliest and best times and help you make the most of lightning lanes while you're in the park. Now, if you're staying off property, you can book them 3 days before each of the days you're planning to go. And truthfully, the past few clients that I have done lightning lanes for who were not staying on property had just very few selections available. I think, truthfully, the lightning lane window, if you're planning to use lightning lane, I think that is actually a bigger edge than even dining because dining, things come open all the time. Lightning lanes, they really don't. And if you're trying to get Peter Pan, if you're trying to get Jungle Cruise and the first time available is 4 o'clock, then you do kind of have to rearrange your whole day around that. I know not everyone uses lightning lane, and I know there are a lot of other ride strategies, but for people who want to use lightning lane during their trip, having that advantage in booking is going to give you so many better options. Okay, early entry. So early entry is something that people seem to either love or hate. I don't personally find it super helpful. It is only a half an hour. And unless you plan everything perfectly time-wise, we're talking transportation, security, scanning in, the 30 minutes goes very fast. Now, I know some people have it down to a science where they can make the most of the 30 minutes, but I'm going to say for the average Walt Disney World goer, it's really not that big of a benefit. It used to be an hour long, pre-2020, and that really gave you a decent amount of time in the park before other guests started arriving. But now it's just 30 minutes. Is it nice to have? I think it is, but personally, I don't think it moves the needle enough to justify staying on property for this perk specifically. I don't think it makes a big enough difference in how your day goes. I think if you have a good ride strategy or a good lightning lane strategy, you easily can make up that 30 minutes that you don't get if you don't get early entry. So that's just my opinion. I'm not a huge early entry fan because I think it goes too fast, but I also think there are too many things that can cause you to really not get the most of your day. Like if transportation's running late, if you're running late, if you get there and the lines are a lot longer than they thought, if there's issues at security, all of those things. So early entry, it's nice to have. I don't personally think it makes or breaks the deal of staying at Walt Disney World. All right, so the free water park day on arrival is now something that has changed since 2025 into 2026. In 2025, everybody got a free water park entry on the day of arrival if you were staying at Walt Disney World. Now for 2026, it's only on select dates, and I personally think that's really a shame because I think there were a lot of people who really enjoyed having that extra perk. And I do actually think that this is one of the better perks that does make a big impact on your trip. A lot of people will get to Walt Disney World, and especially if it's their first first or even just like second trip, they might not really know what to do. So going to the water park is a great idea. Now it is just offered over the summer, which is still nice because it's very hot in the summer. And if you arrive early enough on your arrival day, having some extra time at the water park for free is a really good perk. And it's a really good value because it's for everyone in your party, everyone who stays at Walt Disney World. And if you know how much those tickets cost, that can really add up. It gives you something to do and it doesn't cost you anything else. Free kids dining for 2026 is another really good perk for staying on property. And I will say a lot of people get confused about this one. You don't actually just get free dining for kids. You have to purchase the Disney dining plan with the adults in the group, and then the kids get the same dining plan that you purchased for free. So kids 3 to 9 will eat free when the adults purchase the dining plan. This is something I think a lot of people struggle with because they see the free dining and they think kids automatically get free dining. But if you're already planning to buy the Disney dining plan, this is a great value. I recently booked a family who had 3 children and all 3 of their children were between 3 and 9, meaning that they all got free food. It was a little over $700 to add the dining plan for the mom and dad, and then all the kids ate free. So for $700, they got all of their food for 5 days. So it is an incredible value if you have kids between the ages of 3 and 9 and you're planning to do the dining plan already. Of course, if you're not planning to buy the Disney dining plan or you don't really see the value in the dining plan, then this perk is not really going to be beneficial to you. But if that's something you're already hoping to have added to your Disney package, then getting that free kids food is really an incredible value. I know some people who like to add the Disney dining plan specifically because it makes it feel more of like an all-inclusive. They don't have to worry about paying for things later. So if that's you and you have kids between 3 and 9, this is something to really consider. Disney transportation. Now, one thing that's really important to note for first and maybe even second time guests, people who are just not as familiar with Disney transportation is actually not just for Disney resort guests. This isn't like something that they verify. Anyone who isn't a Disney resort guest, anyone who is on Disney property can use Disney transportation. Like if you happen to be at Magic Kingdom and you decide that you want to go to dinner at Steakhouse 71, you're welcome to take the monorail even if you did not stay at Disney. So the Disney transportation really is for everybody. But the big perk about Disney transportation is if you're staying on property, the transportation is super seamless. There are some good neighbor hotels off property that do a really good job with their shuttles, but I will tell you, for the most part, a lot of the shuttles are more timed, they're not as frequent, and sometimes you do have to sign up for them. You can also rent a car, which brings in another cost, of course, because then you have to pay for parking and renting the car. So if you're staying off property, just make sure that you are factoring in those costs as well. Now, one thing to really make sure you're aware of, especially if you're brand new to Disney, is how incredibly inconvenient it is to get to Magic Kingdom. I have friends who live in the Orlando area, and a lot of them avoid Magic Kingdom just because of how inconvenient it is to get there. Only Disney transportation is allowed to take you to the main entrance of Magic Kingdom. Everyone else, including Ubers and Lyfts, must take you to the TTC first. This means that you have to leave earlier to account for the fact that you have to find enough parking, walk to the TTC, go through security, and then either get on the monorail or the ferry so that you can get to Magic Kingdom. This also goes for most other shuttles for off-property hotels. The only transportation that's allowed to go directly to Magic Kingdom are the Disney buses, the monorail, and minivans. It really can be a hassle to get to Magic Kingdom without Disney transportation, in my opinion. It adds a lot of time into mornings. Again, you do have to pay for it. If you know your family's going to be spending a lot of time at Magic Kingdom, you know you want a rope drop and you really want to take advantage of that early time in the morning, there's just not a lot of ways around this if you're not staying on property. You will have to account for extra time in the morning to get to the TTC and then take another form of transportation over to the park entrance. Extended hours at Walt Disney World are specifically for deluxe resorts, and if you're staying at a deluxe resort, you can take advantage of extended hours on specific nights when it's being held. If you can take advantage of this perk, it is fantastic. And I don't know if enough people use it, in my opinion, and I kind of feel like not enough people even know it exists. But on select nights when there are extended hours for Walt Disney World, only guests at deluxe resorts get to stay in the parks past closing time. This makes the parks super empty, lines for rides are very low, and it really does feel like a very exclusive thing. Now, something to consider here is that there are not always extended hours. They're usually just here and there used to be a really consistent schedule of when extended hours would be at what park, but lately I've been noticing they just are really kind of random and all over the place. There's a calendar on Walt Disney World's site that you can check to see who's having extended hours when, but a lot of times when you're booking your deluxe resort way out, that calendar is not yet published. It's very possible that you could book a deluxe resort, hope to have some sort of extended hour privilege, and then find out there's not even extended hours being held during your trip. So is this something you should plan your trip around, whether or not you're going to stay at Walt Disney World or off property? I just don't know that it's consistent enough for it to be the reason that you book deluxe, especially since deluxe is obviously more expensive. The magical extras that are included with your Walt Disney World package are really something I don't think enough people use or maybe even know about, but they do add some value. So if you book a package through Walt Disney World, you will receive what's called magical extras. The magical extras include luggage tags, which you do have to go to the front desk now to pick them up. They used to mail them, but you can get them at the front desk. With the magical extras, you get mini golf vouchers for free mini golf. You also get vouchers to the ESPN complex. You also get 20% off at Cirque du Soleil, and there are a bunch of discounts for Disney Spring restaurants and shops, as well as occasionally there will be discounts for Walt Disney World Hotel restaurants. These do change from time to time, but I know right now Maya Grill at Coronado Springs, there's 10% off coupon for that in the magical extras. And this is a really great value because if you are coming into Walt Disney World during the time period when the free water park perk is not available, or maybe you have a rest day, maybe you have a really long departure day, being able to go to the mini golf is a really fun little add-on, and it doesn't cost you anything if you're already staying at Walt Disney World. I don't necessarily think that the magical extras makes it more enticing to stay at Disney, but it does add some value to your actual package, along with giving you the opportunity to save at some of the places that you might already be going in Disney Springs. For myself, I personally prefer to stay on property. I feel like everything is just so much easier when you're already on property. Everything's kind of at your fingertips. You don't have to worry about logistics. You really don't have to worry about food. You really don't have to worry about a whole lot. It's very, very easy. On the flip side of that, though, I do understand there's a lot of situations that it really might just make the most sense to stay off of property. If you are looking for a suite, if you are traveling with a very large party, but your budget does not allow one of the villas at the deluxe resorts, if you're only going to Disney 1 or maybe 2 days, if you're splitting that trip between Universal, maybe even SeaWorld or Legoland or something else like that, there are a lot of reasons you might not want to stay on property and you might not really find the value. But I think for the average Disney vacationer, especially if you're fairly new to Walt Disney World, I do think staying on property gives you a pretty good bang for your buck. Disney vacations can be very stressful, so having to worry about less is always a good thing in my opinion. It makes all of your bookings easier, it makes transportation easier, it makes guest services easier. And to me, you can't really put a price on convenience when you're already spending a lot of money to go to the parks anyway. Hopefully this video has been helpful in breaking down the perks of Walt Disney World to help you see if staying on property is right for you, or if you should maybe look at staying off property. That might also be the better option for you specifically. As always, feel free to leave us a comment or questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.